Hey guys, welcome back to Telltale. I'm Emily.
I'm Greg.
And we are going to be going through William Hope Hodgson's The Voice in the Night.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really interesting story, but go ahead and give us like the synopsis of the wheres and whens.
Okay. Well, William Hope Hodgson, first of all, was a sailor, so he knew the sea very well.
Mm-hmm.
But he also wrote a lot of horror tales. A lot of his horror tales, of course, took place in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Though he did write books like The House on the Borderland, which we previously reviewed, that I think water was involved. Water was involved a little bit, but it wasn't on the sea.
Yeah, it was like a reservoir in a cave or something like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's always a water element, though.
Yeah, but that one mostly wasn't using his nautical knowledge. But a lot of his other stories do. So this story was one of his earliest, written and published in 1907, actually right before or after House on the Borderland.
Mm-hmm.
So really close to the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
And Hodgson was a very, very strong influence on H.P. Lovecraft.
Mm-hmm.
He had that same kind of antique styling, what in my day they called purple prose.
Mm-hmm.
And these days they call it antique or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
antiquity.
Yeah. And just the characteristic of prose like that is just that the writers put a lot more craft, a lot more alliteration, a lot more care of the sound of how their sentences are constructed.
Mm-hmm.
and how that builds atmosphere.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of horror writers like Lovecraft, Poe, and Hawthorne and Hodgson would write this way, is because it was, rather than just writing like we talk, that doesn't build any kind of atmosphere. The way they wrote sounded better, was more of a pleasure to read, and was stronger at building the atmosphere of the story. Mm-hmm. So the story that I'm trying to get to the synopsis here. The story is, again, it's a very short story.
Really quick read.
And it concerns a ship on the sea. And one of the sailors, I believe it's a schooner, one of the sailors hears a voice in the night. This is at nighttime. He's out on the deck.
In the darkness.
Hears this voice call, "Schooner ahoy!"
Mm-hmm.
And he can't see it. It's too dark. He has a light, but the guy apparently in a little boat. Of course, you can't see it, so just assuming
he knows it's there. He hears it. He hears the guy.
Out on the ocean, he's probably not swimming.
Yes. And it is the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. But this guy yells up to him to extinguish the light. He doesn't want him to be able to see him. Mm-hmm. But he's asking for food for him and his wife, because their story is that they were shipwrecked. The other sailors
abandoned ship
and left them there. So he and
by
his
accident
wife,
in a scramble. It's not like they did it intentionally. They just overlooked them.
They just didn't.
Unfortunate event. Very unfortunate. A series of events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So him and his wife, they get off the ship too, and they go to this island, and they find a ship in the bay on this island, and they go aboard, but they see that the ship is covered by this really weird fungus, very strangely shaped and just growing everywhere.
Yep.
And they decide to try to make this ship their home, and they try to clean the fungus, but it's only good for about a day, and then the fungus grows back, and even worse after only a day. And then when they notice the fungus on one of their pillows, they decide, we better try the island. So they get off the ship and go on the island, only to find out that the island is totally covered with this fungus everywhere. And eventually they start to see spots on them. And the fungus starts to take them over. And they believe, at one point the guy believes he sees one of the original sailors from the ship they were on in the forest, but it's hard to tell because it doesn't really look like a man anymore. It was moving.
Yes. Could have been an animal, but who knows?
Yeah. So So then he goes, because there's nothing edible on the island, he goes out on the water to try and find somebody to get food from, and he comes across a schooner and tells them his story, but warns them that they should not come down by him, they should not bring him on board, and they should not go on the island because they too will get infected.
Yeah, and he makes it very intentional that they have no desire to go back to humanity in fear of having them catch this, which is like, my whole brain was like, it's kind of like a pandemic. And the way it should have gone. Sorry. Having one of those moments. Anyway. Yeah.
So that's really it for the story. And for modern readers that like things wrapped up really tidy, this story's going to drive you nuts. Because it's just kind of leaves off the ending. It doesn't come to any kind of a solution. You know,
there's a lot of ambiguity at the end.
They don't figure out how to kill the fungus. They don't figure out where the fungus came from.
They don't save the people. They're just kind of left there hopeless.
They're totally
can't.
taken over by the fungus.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what causes this to be more horrific, is that they're hearing this really sad series of events coming from this man. They can do nothing except give him food and just leave him to his death and hope for the best, essentially. I have a very whiny kitty.
Saoirse.
That's Henry.
Oh, Henry.
Henry! Where's Mama's boy? Where is he?
Come on over.
Come here.
Come on. Come on, you
Or
know
you're
me.
gonna
You
be
were
a
around
yeller.
me the other night. Oh, wow.
I'm gonna
Cats.
go grab him. Come here, baby. Come on. You're gonna be loud and obnoxious. Oh, yes, you are covered. Absolutely covered in cat oregano.
In what? Oh, catnip.
He's covered in catnip.
Hi,
You whiny
Henry.
boy. You a whiny boy. Now you're purring. Anyway.
That's what he wanted.
Yep, he just wanted mom time.
So,
Whiny boy.
the strength of this story and the reason why you should read this and other works by William Hope Hodgson is because you don't need an ending.
No.
The story is about the mysterious and the sublime, and
Absolutely.
the style of writing is beautiful.
If you love Lovecraft, you'll love Hodgson.
The writing is extremely atmospheric, and like she said, definitely in the style of Lovecraft and Poe and Abraham Merritt. They all knew that this kind of writing made for a much more powerful, much more atmospheric type of story. So you don't have to have blood and gore to make this scary and horrible. It's the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The sense of decay, the sense of mold, the sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Hopelessness.
And foreshadowing without actually revealing the shadows. He's really good at doing that. He's
Yeah.
really good at giving you a sense of foreshadowing, but never reveals what the shadow is. So it feels a little incomplete, but that's the point. The point is it's supposed to give you that sense of, what the hell is happening? What the hell is going on? What the hell?
Yeah.
And he does it. He does it so well.
And he leaves a lot of holes that you need to fill. Your imagination can fill it. And he does that on purpose so that your mind does kind of wander into all these things and start going down all these different alleys of what it might be, what could it be, and start thinking about, coming up with your own solutions, your own reasons for why this exists. And that's the power of William Hope Hodgson.
Yes, that, and I love that a lot of his stories take place in the ocean, because the ocean is like outer space to us. Like, there's still so much we haven't explored, so it still has relevance and that sense of longevity. For having been written so long ago, it still feels so relevant because there's still so much about the ocean and the sea that we don't know because we haven't discovered it yet.
Yeah.
New fish dropping all the time.
Well, especially when Hodgson was writing, there were a lot of islands that had never been discovered.
Yeah, so much was uncharted.
Never explored, never charted. Yeah. So there was this sense of mystery and sense of wonder surrounding the sea, and Hodgson, being a sailor, knew that well.
Yep. Right, Henry?
So Top Tale is, in my estimation.
Absolutely a top tale. This was a fantastic read.
Mm-hmm.
I love, too, one of the things that I like to bring up is that the disease reminds me of a legitimate disease. It's called Tree Man disease or Tree Man syndrome, something like that. And it's these abnormal growths and cells that kind of divide and make you look like you're kind of covered in tree bark or like a fungus or something. Really interesting. So give that a Google if you kind of want an idea. It's pretty intense. Learned about that from TLC channel. But yeah, so definitely an interesting Google if you kind of want a sense of how that might have looked. Or maybe explaining. That's the thing, too. You don't know if Hodgson, having been a seafaring man, encountered people with these unusual diseases and things, and it just inspired him to come up with a reason.
Yeah.
A fantasy element, of course, but a reason. So it's just interesting to sit and speculate of what might he have seen that was legitimate in his travels that inspired a story that seemed like fiction, but sometimes real life is stranger than fiction. So, really cool.
Ships generally, the ship hulls generally get covered in like barnacles and stuff that grow on it and kind of take over it, and they have to scrape them off every so often. So there's things like that out at sea. I imagine there's also fungus and stuff that gets on those old wooden ships.
Yeah, lots of things he probably encountered and said.
Off as part of their duties.
Yeah, things he probably encountered that he said, what if?
Yeah.
What if it didn't just stick to the wood on the ship? So it's really cool to see how he incorporates the things he knows from being a seafaring person into his stories, and how, again, the relevancy today, because there's so much of the sea we haven't explored.
Right.
It's cool.
And if you're looking to read this story, William Hope Hodgson is old enough. All of his work was published before 1926, so it's all in the public domain, so you can find free versions online of, I believe, all of his work. Yeah, soda.
I know. Like, the cat just went right by my beverage, and it's gonna knock it over.
So
I have a copy of Adrift on Haunted Seas. This is by Cold Spring Press or Gold Spring Press. I think
it's Cold Spring.
Cold Spring Press, yep. So this was a nice collection of some of his most treasured works.
With a beautiful cover.
Beautiful illustration on the cover. I don't know if you can see it well from there, but this great kraken destroying a ship or some kind of leviathan with tentacles. But this was a really good collection of stories. It's not a complete collection like Greg has, which is also absolutely stunning. I love those book covers so much. But it definitely has a really nice collection of his work that gives you a good tone.
Yes, it does.
So,
all nautical theme stories.
Yep.
And some years back, Nightshade Books published the collected fiction of William Hope Hodgson in 5 volumes. I believe it's all of his work, except his letters. I've got a separate book of his letters from Tartarus Press. But The Voice in the Night is in volume 2. This is the book with a cool foil stamp.
It has a really neat foil stamp of his face on the back, too.
Yes, it does, his portrait. And for collectors, these books aren't in print anymore. You can get them as ebooks. You can still buy this whole series as ebooks.
It's so pretty in print, though.
Yeah. The print ones were printed back in the 1990s, I'm pretty sure. And they are out of print now, but you can still find them on eBay or Abe Books or Biblio. You're just going to pay a little bit more to get them.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was lucky to have gotten the whole series of all 5 volumes in their original publication, so the price wasn't that bad.
Nice. That's fantastic, and they're in great condition.
Yeah, I've kept them in perfect condition.
Yeah, stunning. But yeah, so Top Tale. Really great read. If you want a good spooky story, go read it.
For Halloween.
Samantha, we know you like ocean stuff. Go read it.
Yeah, William Hope Hodgson, get a book.
Yes, lots of great stuff in here, so definitely recommend it. And that's all I got to say.
Me too.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.
Bye.